Hey there, you're listening to BD4, where there's no better way to get your Yankees and Knicks analysis. Yanks every series, Knicks every game, and MMA on occasion. Here's your host, RJ Carbone.
And a high drive into left center field. Stanley's going to watch another one fly. Are you kidding me? DiVincenzo a three. Bang! Bang! Knicks take a
Take this time to apologize to absolutely nobody.
At the wall. See ya! See ya! See ya! Mr. Nova.
Anthony for three. Bang! That one goes down and the game is tied.
Rose, you shook up the world again.
I did it again. But God did it, man. I really just had
Gonna have to. Brunson running away. Oh my! He has been the best player to put on that uniform.
Ball game over. Yankees win. The Yankees win.
Okay. So, there are losses that affect the standings, and there are losses where we dive into these episodes and we pick it apart and analyze the X's and O's and the details of the game, and that's what we usually do. This is going to be an episode where I do none of that. Not sure how long this episode will be. And to be honest, one of my weaknesses is discussing things that aren't details of the actual game and what takes place on the floor. I'm not really good at discussing like DNA and like killer instinct and stuff like that. I'm really bad at having conversations, at least by myself on a podcast, just talking about, I don't even know what to call it, heart, right? But that was a loss that I consider a culture loss. There are losses that affect the standings, and there are losses that affect the culture and are much more dangerous than a loss that affects the standings. This is not about the Knicks in the Eastern Conference. I will say, these wins and losses don't mean much that I said last episode. The Knicks are a lot closer than fourth place than I thought, so I might want to take that back. But this is not about that. This has nothing to do with the Knicks and their chances at winning a championship in this season. This is something big because what you just saw the last couple of nights was a new low point. It was a new low point. The Knicks just went 0-2 and lost by a combination of 32 points the last two nights to one tanking team without two of their best players, and then another totally unserious organization who are excelling at this tanking thing. So when people say that something just seems off this year with this Knicks team, I've always kind of had a tough time understanding what they meant. I kind of had like an epiphany last night watching because I finally saw it. I saw it. I saw the body language, and it was in like the third quarter when the Knicks are just getting waxed. And it's in the middle of it. It was like a dead ball period. The camera was panning to like Josh Hart and his expression, and it hit me. I'm like, whoa. They don't have the killer instinct to do it. They don't have the DNA to do it. They don't have the fellowship, the unity, the cohesiveness to do it. And I get a bad feeling now because I hate overreacting to things the internet likes to overreact to. But like last night, I couldn't stop thinking about like, well, was it a coincidence that the Bridges stuff and the Hart stuff happened within a week of each other? The whole Tibbs stuff? Like, maybe there is more to that. Maybe he is losing the locker room. Maybe the culture is in question. Because they've undoubtedly lost that toughness from a year ago. The New York Knicks are not of championship caliber. Not this group. And I'm not going to sit here and blame fatigue. And I'm not going to blame the back-to-back, luck, variance, etc. And again, it's not even about last night being a loss. It's about the consistency of how they continue to look collectively. The defensive process has hit an embarrassingly low point. They're now at a point where they're choosing to not give effort lately. That's what's concerning. And that falls on the head coach. You've got to be prepared. This head coach's number one main thing is preparation. We always hear about Tibbs and practice and being ready. They're not prepared. They're not prepared for the big fight. They're not prepared to hang with the big boys. And so if you're one of those few fans that are still left in on this team, I hate to say hand in your fandom because I think that's garbage, but like you're kind of bullshitting yourself. And true fans don't bullshit themselves. Fake fans, quote unquote, are the ones that bullshit into fake optimism. Tell the truth to yourself. This team's not good enough to win. This year, I don't think this team's put together to ever win together. I'm at that point. When the Knicks front office, when they filled out this roster, and the last couple of spots went to rookies for cap reasons, it was because they knew Tibbs wouldn't use those rotation spots. And that's all good and fine when things, when your way is working. But when your way is not working, I don't know, man, maybe budge a little bit. Maybe show a little bit of flexibility. Trust your third unit, your rookies. All year long, fans have been clamoring for, Pacom Dadier, Ariel Huckporty. I know those two guys are no longer here, but like, Tyler Kolek. Whatever randoms and rookies round out your roster, you know what? At this point, they're probably better than what you have in your second unit because the Knicks' second unit is not an NBA second unit. It sucks. It's a bunch of rejects, and I've been saying this all year. It's a bunch of rejects who've been flying around different teams their entire careers. They don't have enough NBA players in their rotation. So dive deeper onto your roster. Shamit's not an NBA player. Precious Achiuwa is such a useless waste of a roster spot. Campaign, he's running scores. I'm over that guy. So where's Tyler Kolek? Where is he? The rest of the season should be about finding solutions. We keep saying this, right? Experiment with different things. The defense, 70 games in, is still not championship ready, and it's far from that. So experiment with OG Anunoby playing at the 5. Experiment with more 5-out minutes. Longer than 2 minutes every other night. Stagger Josh Hart a little bit more. Play him 33 minutes as opposed to 40 minutes. Give Deuce McBride those extra 7 minutes with the starting unit and see what he looks like. Obviously, right now, Brunson's hurt, but see what it all looks like. Stop coaching with fear. Stop coaching scared and fearing the downside. You can't coach that way. You have to have a little bit of open-mindedness and risk a little bit of your comfort level. Because your way, playing one defensive scheme 80% of the time, playing an 8-man rotation, playing these specific, 4 lineups every game, that might be, why you have a pace to win 50 games, but it's also the reason you're 0-11 against Boston, Cleveland, OKC, LA, Golden State. Because you're afraid to adjust from drop coverage. So some random from San Antonio will have a career night off the pick and pop and knock down 7 threes. Or you're afraid to stagger Josh Hart with the first and second unit, or play Precious at the 5 when he's out there with Towns. So Towns will continue to see help on the post and the spacing will be all jumbled up. You're afraid to play Tyler Kolek because of his defense, and he's not ready because he's too young. Meanwhile, the Knicks are just in desperation of a ball handler, of somebody with creativity who can beat a defense at the point of attack when Brunson's not out there with them. All these types of things. It's just your couple of ways are good for 50 wins, but we're talking big picture. It's not going to work like that. So the Knicks are entering a danger zone. And again, it's not because of the standings. I'm not talking about them risking dropping to 4 and Indiana getting hot. No. It's not because of who they're losing to. It's because of the way the Knicks have played this year. We are 69, 70 games in, whatever it is. We should not still be sitting here talking about last year's Knicks and comparing this team to last year's Knicks at this point in the year. That's the problem. So if we get to the playoffs, and whenever it is the Knicks are eliminated, if we come out of that series talking still about last year, and we're still talking about these same storylines, that's when things have to change. That's when it's time for a new voice. That's when it's time for the front office to really question if the roster they assembled went a little bit too far in the other direction. Did we fracture something? Should we continue to build this roster that molds the head coach, or should it be the other way? Should we build a roster that just fits the modern game and get a coach in here that's able to adjust to that? So I think it goes way beyond just head coach. I think it's culture. I think it's the way this front office has acted. And I love the front office. I think this was an experiment they had to try, but it took a risk. And it's not looking like this risk is going to pay off, not just this year, but I really don't think this group together is going to win a championship. And so that's all I have on this game. The Knicks lose to the Hornets 115-98, by the way. But I'm not going any further. We're not going to head to any promo breaks. Nothing. Towns scored 24 points tonight, 10 rebounds in 36 minutes. He now has 16 game balls. I don't know. It's nice that he was going to some, they were going to wedge screens to get him open. That's been a thing they've went to more lately, so that's nice. Campaign scores 5 points off the bench, 3 assists, 3 rebounds. He has 14 game balls. Did not think he was good, but the rest of the second unit was so atrocious that I had to give it to Campaign. Up next for the Knicks, they've got the Washington Wizards on Saturday at 8 p.m. So tomorrow night, they host the Wizards at the Garden. Knicks will host it. That's it, man. That's it. Just a quick 15-minute episode. We'll be back out there with a full episode the next time out. The Knicks Wizards. We'll talk basketball then, but this was a rant. I'm afraid it's not going to happen, folks. But appreciate you all tuning in. We're going to wrap it up here. Well, if you made it this far, that means you listened to or watched the entire episode. Thank you. Just remember to follow, subscribe, download, rate and review, and all that fun stuff to help out the podcast. And I will see you in the next episode of BD4.